Welcome everyone to another battle of NTW3. The last battle of Talavera was quite a good battle and it's pretty enjoyable by the guys, so we decided to do a mirror battle again, and this replay was sent in by Andre, so I have no idea the result of this battle. As you can see, Andre's playing the French, so it's 3v3, and as you can see, as the French divisions move in across the wide battlefield, utilising the road and column, means the units get to the front that much quicker. The British and Spanish line, let's have a look, will stretch from the town of Talavera all the way up the stream to the hills in the north. It's a natural barrier, and it'll stretch all the way. The last battle they played was a really close one, as I say, and they enjoyed it so much that they decided to give it a round two. Some guys think they could have played it better defensively, some better offensively. So let's see how this one goes. British artillery, it's always on this hill, always gets to strike early. You see the columns moving in. The last battle was brutal along the stream, if you remember. All down the length of the stream. The British usually defend this hill. So let's see if the French go the same way. Now, as I said, I don't know the result of this battle, so I'm interested to see what the French do differently. Looks like they're splitting the divisions pretty much the same way. Got two on the French right. Looks like they're sending two down the centre. It's difficult with this terrain using cavalry as you would like. French do have a lot of cavalry and it's very good quality, but as you can see with the terrain, there's so many streams and trees about, it's hard to get a good charge on. With the historical battles being, well, historical, I guess, you can't move cavalry very good through this sort of terrain, so you have to be very sparingly with them. Hold them back till you can get them in a good position, which look like the French are doing quite well at the minute, just holding them back in reserve. But of course, because of reinforcement timers, some of those units may not be able to move yet, as you can see there on the road. And as we look down the line, the first engagement may be with scout cavalry. They've just sent them forward to have a look, and they've hit a French square. But with the fog of war now, they'll be able to, they've only lost 3 guys, and they'll be able to see exactly what's marching down the road. It's like Chase is moving in first, and he'll be moving against the Allied right, French left. Centre moving in column. Slow pace through the trees, and there's a line of British in the red just waiting. Probably got fire switched off. maybe waiting to give a crashing volley, but the French have started early at distance, still in column. So it looks to me like the French are moving in possibly 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, with the cavalry on the far right. It's always a good idea to have the cavalry in reserve in a flanking position. You've sent the dragoons out on their own, may not be a good, wise decision. French artillery may be massed. Let's have a look where he might be taking them. Probably on this hill here. And they can always counter battery the British artillery there. And look at that, we've got some French moving up en masse. But the Brits won't be able to see them yet, I don't believe. Now last time the Brits were here defending this, looks like they're not doing that this time. Looks like they're defending a little further back. Maybe using the advantage of the heights rather than the crossing of the stream. But it's always an epic showdown in that corner. Volley fire versus volley fire. French have stalled, taking some artillery fire in column in the centre. At the town, again it's stalled, so just take the chance to put some epic uniforms. Looks like they're just waiting in column while they bring the guns up. Maybe they'll pound the Brits first this time. And as always, this is where the main brawl is. Around that hill there. It's 2-point victory point. You need 5 before you can go for the LOS, which you see there. Take LOC, sorry, not LOS. Minimum 4 victory points, so you need to take 4 before you can go for it. And that wins you the battle. Let's have a look down the line. Both sides pouring it on. In a prolonged firefight in this battle, it is quite possible you'll run out of ammo. So you do have to consider that option as well. Yep, all down the line. Certainly on the British left. French seem to be holding back in their centre, their left. You can see the massed French cavalry and the reserves coming in. British happy to hold the heights. They are taking quite a few casualties. 29th Foot Regiment pulling back, doesn't like taking that many. The rest happy to stand and trade with the French. Probably try and release a battle every Saturday now. I do have a few saves, just got to record them and edit them. But as this one was, the guys enjoyed it so much last time, the Battle of Talavera, they wanted to give it another blast. It's always fun listening to the guys in TeamSpeak after the battle, giving their own reports, what they could have done better, how teammates managed to screw it up. I do think it may have been a mistake for the Brits not to defend this crossing now. As you can see, they're defending higher up the hill. And we've got some Brits routing off the field already. As the French are pouring it on down this gully. That's a lot of death and destruction right there. So overall, we've got the French in column in reserve. They're resting. You can see all fresh. They've massed the artillery. Always a good idea. Focus on one point. While the first line of French stretching out is taking quite a good beating of the British. It looks like it looks like they're slowly grinding them down. Zoom over to the centre, and we've got the same there. Looks like the French have local superiority there. Just, maybe they can stretch out the flank. Got the artillery on the flank. Looks like the Brits are aware of that, and they've bent their flank back a bit. And down by the town, as you can see, the French might be wondering why they're in column. Well, it could be because the Spanish have cavalry behind, which can charge. So they're just aware of that, and we don't want them to charge in line. So their volley fire won't be as effective in column. It's a shorter frontage, but they are protected against cavalry, and they can form square if charged. Now what is interesting is, it looks like the town isn't a main area of contention this time. So it looks like they're concentrating in the centre and the right. Towns can be difficult to take, all the terrain in the houses easily defendable. So it looks to me like the French have decided to push in the soft centre. As you can see, that artillery may have slight enfilade fire, almost. But that battalion, as you can see, Chemist Brigade, is going to take quite a lot of damage from that artillery. Could even bring the artillery up into canister range. That would be devastating. But the Brits have got theirs, Royal Foot there as well. See the French columns taking artillery fire. Must be quite something to have stood there in column, watching the mayhem around you while people fire solid shot at you. You just stand there and take it. But the massed French artillery looks like it's concentrating on the British lines, taking lots of casualties. I'm not sure how long they can hold unless they've got reinforcements behind, which I can't see because of the fog of war. Looks like they've regrouped. The best thing the British can do is try and bleed the French dry. But it looks like this French commander, I suspect, is Andre, but I'm not sure. He decided he's willing to use patience this time. Bleed the Brits. British brigades hold pretty much less men in general than the French, but their accuracy generally is higher. Both sides suffering in the centre. French are having to swap in and out battalions because they're taking quite a lot of casualties. Well, here we have quite a lot of strength from the French, but they're in column, which tells me quality uniforms there, gents. Which tells me that there may be a charge coming. So we'll watch this bit for a sec. This is a time to turn fire at will off and maybe hold fire until they're getting close and give a crashing volley. But they've decided maybe you can see what's coming and they're pulling back. French do love massed column charges. Ah, there you go, some reserves there, but they are bending the line back. As you can see, all that massed cavalry. I might think about bringing that down the road. It's no good in the trees, it's too slow, it'd take them an age. But you could sneak them down the road, but as you can see there is artillery there. What you don't want to do is sneak them down the road, get canister to the face. But the French have seen what I've just seen, an opportunity to outflank this line here. Not sure these Spanish volunteers will be up for a French column charge. Very quickly. Brits are going to have to move. French are moving up. Brits are moving to the heights of the hill. What have we here? Maybe going for a crashing volley. Maybe not. So down the whole of the front, apart from the town, you can see obviously the French have decided they're not going to battle the town. You can take far too many casualties in the last battle. Threw a whole division in there, I believe. And it got mauled. And it looks like it's working. As the Allied front has decided to shorten. You can see the reserves. Artillery's already set up. And if I was them, I'd set a new defensive line this side of the river or stream. Using these houses here to tie the left flank. And on the hill, as you can tell by all the dead bodies, this has been quite a battle. All the French cavalry still waiting in reserve. Black's division still in reserve there, or he is feeding them in piecemeal now. Ruffin's division, they have taken quite a lot of casualties, but they have gained the ground. Pushed the British line all the way back to the artillery. You can't really bring light cavalry over here and charge the artillery because of the terrain, so it has to be a job for the infantry, and that I can guarantee you is a bloody job, because they ain't bayonet charging up that hill in a rush. The French have pushed over to the stream in the centre. So the British-Spanish line is bowing a bit. They have got an artillery piece in the centre though. That should be able to hold any infantry charges back. And it looks like we've got a pause. That's probably, I would imagine, so we do agree pauses on TeamSpeak between the teams. If people are getting a little bit behind or in front with the planning, we can enforce a pause and guys group together and they just talk about what strategy they're going to use next at this certain point. Which is probably, I would imagine, being called by the Brits at the moment, because their line is looking a little bit shaky. As you can see the line, it doesn't look very organised as it normally does. Got columns mixed in with line. It looks to me like the French have dedicated at least 2 divisions to the centre. Just going to speed this up. I don't know how long the pause is lasting, so there we go, and it's back on. So the Brits have had time to discuss what they're going to try and do to stem the tide. And it looks like the Let's division in reserve is being pushed into service to try and take this advantage. They've almost pushed the Brits off the hill. There's quite a bit of movement of reserves. You may be thinking, why don't they bring those French cavalry around the British left? But this terrain is really terrible for cavalry. By the time they got through the stream and the woods, they'd be exhausted, pretty useless. So this here is an infantryman's job. And here we go. We might have a bit of a charge on this British left. Surprised they haven't pulled this back straighter behind the stream. Maybe even move some reserves over to this soft centre. Some French hussars getting stuck in.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
Of course, while this infantry is tied up with the cavalry, the infantry can move up, maybe even do a bayonet charge, which they are. And that's enough. 24 foot, they're pulling back. Now you have to pull this line back to form the line again. Meanwhile, the French are moving up to take advantage of this gap. You can see they've decided along this centre there. That looks very weak, and that's a victory point taken. So they need 3 more to be able to go for the LOC.
The men are fatigued,
take
sir,
the battle,
and must rest a while.
The Brits won't give up easy, that's for sure, but they have given up a lot of ground early. It's all about buying time for the clock. And here we have the French. They've rolled up that flank. And we have a counter charge.
Our men are running, sir.
Brits need to reform this line behind the stream. It's imperative they do, but a lot of units are routing. I think the Spanish should be moving more troops to the centre, to be fair. There's a lot of troops there that aren't needed. It's a very good road to move reinforcements up and down the field fairly quickly. And the French Hussards, they've been pretty epic. Destroyed at least 3 battalions. Now they've sent the Spanish cav off. I don't think those Spanish volunteers are long for this world. No, in the flank. Whoever's got the Spanish centre needs to regroup, pull it back. Meanwhile, the French march on in good order. We've even got reserves behind.
Our men are running, sir.
We have skirmishes on the flank, always a good place. Defended by terrible terrain, they won't get charged by cavalry, and over time they'll pick a lot of infantry off. It's like the British have massed some cavalry to face off against the French. All the while this French infantry will be taking fire from the British artillery. But it looks like this is where the fun is. French form square in the centre. And here come the French columns. Spanish are still pouring it in on the centre, but they seem quite oblivious to the fact that they've got a French column on the left. Brits try to take advantage of Coldstream Guards. Coming up, seeing the French are quite weak there, that's a good move. Oh, we have a charge. French columns. And they broke the Spanish as well. Bringing in some Spanish cavalry to counter-charge. We do have a French square there though, nice move. Another bayonet charge into the flank, breaks those. Spanish player in the centre really should have pulled back earlier and used the terrain to his advantage. You can't get caught by French columns. But she's going to be in a world of hate, world of trouble. There's a nice counter charge by the cavalry. But there is French cavalry there. Looks like it's dragoons versus some quality Spanish cavalry. And we've got some counter charges by the Spanish cavalry here. It's all across the centre now, it's raging. British Coldstream Guards, if they give a volley at that range, I would have brought them closer, or even maybe bayonet charged.
Our men are running, sir.
Yep, that'll do it. Now they need to come around the side. see the Spanish have decided now to pull back to the town. But it looks like they've got a lot of men streaming off the field. Only cavalry. Don't see any infantry here. Maybe 1 in every 3 battalions should be moving up this road, forming a new line. Once the French cavalry gets through these trees into better terrain, the infantry's going to struggle. And it's bayonet time again.
Our men are running, sir!
We have another column coming in. Just check what's going up on the hill. That's still holding, line against line. This is where the action is. Give that guy
Men
there.
are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
These big Spanish battalions doing good work against the French, which are pretty tired, exhausted, which brings them slightly more ineffective. Although the French have done well, they do seem to have strung themselves out quite far.
Our men are running, sir!
To me it looks actually like the Brits may have turned it around. Now we do have the Souls Division coming in. The reinforcement time has come up so they can move now. It's an extra 6 battalions. They could turn that tide.
One of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
But for now it looks like the French have bled themselves in the centre. I mean, they've done a good job, they've pushed them back, took the ground, but they've only managed to take 1 victory point, and it's almost half of the battle has gone. They need to push on, they need more. And maybe they've decided to overlap the town now. These units will have to be careful of this French cav though. French cav can be devastating, and they've seen that, I believe. They are forming another line, which is good. Defence in depth. It's what you have to do against the French. Bleed them. I think he's pushed too far with these 2 battalions though. They've done a good job, but attacked in the flank, already exhausted. They're in trouble. Over on the Hill of Doom, the Hill of Death. Battery's still there, pounding away. Good old British battery. French have brought some
and must rest a while.
skirmishes up. It's a good move. They don't take as many casualties from the artillery, and they will be able to snipe the crew. Again, French cav massing. If that was on an open field, that would be pretty devastating, but here with the terrain, not quite so. British have got cavalry reserve. It's a good move by them, but here they come with numbers. They're marching up the hill. Looks like they've fled a lot of British battalions. Exhausted the Allies in the centre. The French will probably have to regroup as well. But we do have some resemblance of a British line, but it's moving forward this side, backwards that side. I try and keep it to 1 tidy defensive line. Looks like these may be going to... Have the Brits seen something here? Bit of a gap. Moving cavalry and infantry combined arms into this area. maybe turn the left.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
Looks like they may have taken the British artillery out. French are moving up. Perfect range now for canister fire. So French move up in line. All across the front on the hill. That is a beautiful sight. There's pockets of British resistance, but the units have taken quite a lot of casualties. Some cavalry counter-charging there, but again it's through terrible terrain, rocky, woods. It's not going to be effective against volley fire, that range.
The entire unit is dead, sir.
Looks like they are trying to turn this French left. They may want to go around, try and engage the French from the rear there. British have held, but it's that soft underbelly of the Spanish there that's suffering, I think. More French massed cavalry. If they take a couple more victory points, they could come straight through there, all the way to the LOC, take the LOC. The army will rout off the field.
Our men are running, sir!
Certainly a good battle, this one. Again, thanks to the replay, Andre. It looks pretty 50-50 at the moment. I think I'm still back in France. I think they have the numbers and the better quality troops at this point. But they have taken a lot of losses to get this far. I don't see anything to hold the French in the centre now. And they have got massed cavalry. Obviously in terrible terrain. British infantry battalion getting threatened by cavalry. Well formed square. But they are supporting the cavalry with infantry. It's always a necessity. Or artillery, it's even better. Got rid of one French battalion. Looks like they're working down the line, but in this terrain again, nothing's going to happen quickly. And the battle for the hill. Have the French taken it? And not yet.
Our men are running, sir!
Now, like the battalions on the hill, decided to pull them back. Sherbrooke's division, they're pulling back using the advantage of height. They've got more artillery set up. Maybe set another line there. There's a 2-point victory point. They can still pull back to it. The French only have one still. Half the battle gone, they've got plenty of time. Is the combined use of arms, cavalry, infantry.
Our men are running, sir!
The French battalions can shoot into this square. Will devastate them. British have pushed on, threatening a left flank of the French. British just need to reorganise on the hill, and we have the big cavalry fight. All that massed cavalry, dragoons, chasseurs cheval against the mixed Spanish cavalry. But as I say, on this terrain, it's not good for cavalry action. You want it on the plain. I can't see there being any winners eventually here, and they'll be so exhausted if there is a winner. It'll be pretty useless anyway, which is often the case with cavalry. Some British squares, but they are susceptible now to infantry.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
The town looks secure for the moment. If you look at the overall units, there's pockets, British, Spanish strong points. They broke through there. They need to hold on to that. But I worry about the centre. I think they might totally destroy, and then they can go straight down to the LOC. What you don't want is French cavalry roaming near your rear. And the French just pouring fire onto these squares. They will not stand. I think it's important in this mod to see things early and plan 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. I do believe the British-Spanish centre should have pulled back earlier, formed a better defensive line. They tried to hold where they were, got charged by cavalry and routed, and now they're suffering the consequences. The Souls Division, fresh, coming through the centre. Pretty sure there's nothing to stop them. And the French have taken the artillery position finally at the top. Looks like the cavalry fight was won by the French. If they can pull around the back, it could be the case that all is lost.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
Yeah, in the centre you can see the columns pouring across. If you look at the overall picture, Spanish, British, nothing left in the centre, no more reserves. Looks to me like at this point the battle is over. We've got 2 victory points almost taken there. 3. They can almost go for the LOC. French cavalry getting stuck in. They've been a thorn in the Allied side the whole battle. And that's a lot of devastation right there. That square still holds. The French have bypassed it. Now they've broken through, and they can now spread out. Coldstream Guards. As you can if you remember, they've come all the way from the centre, but I think they're probably too late. French have got cav around the rear.
Oui, monsieur.
There's some good moves by the French in this battle. Rather than attack down the whole line equally, they went for local superiority in the centre, and the long push on the British left totally left the town. And as you can see now, once they've secured those areas, they've beaten back the
We
British.
have killed their general,
They can
sir.
now move
Now
back around
they
the
must
town
break.
at their leisure, take as much time as they like. Looks like the Brits are trying to reform what little they have left. Maybe back towards the next victory point. I don't think there's enough to hold it though. Fresh columns coming in. And even around the town they're looking pressured. And it's only really taken half of the battle for the French to break through those strong points. I think the Spanish will be disappointed they didn't hold on to that longer. Looks to me pretty much like it's a mopping up operation. See the French columns pushing what little bit the defenders have left. I think it's great the way the French played this hill. They moved up slowly, cautiously, but nevertheless moved up constantly, kept the pressure on. The British could never get set in a good defensive position. They're always on the move back, little by little. Probably the amount of casualties we were taking forced them to do that, and then the strike in the centre is what broke them. And yeah, the French have got cavalry. It's only a matter of time now. There's the LOC. If that's taken, whole army will rout. There's no help coming from Talavera. They're pinned into the town, what's left, the Spanish. Yeah, they're pretty much wiped. Every unit. So I'm going to call it there, gents. The French, it was a good battle, but the French, I think in the end, won it very easily. As you can see, these 3 battalions will pull back to the LOC, but by no way they're going to be able to hold it. Impressive push by the French on the hill and in the centre. These 3 battalions are certainly not long for this world. So I hope you enjoyed the battle. As I say, I'll try and get a few more uploaded as soon as I can, and I'll try and make them different battles. I've got an Austerlitz to do coming up soon. I've got a Marengo to do, which is a massive battle. It's a very long one, and it pretty much goes to the wire. That should be a good watch, so hopefully keep an eye out, and that'll be coming up soon. Thanks for watching.